Welcome to another week of trading. It's been a very busy few weeks because of the mentorship. So for this month, I decided to record some of the trading we did during the mentorship week with the students. Let's get into it. Oh yeah, and I don't know why my camera went dark like this. It's not the lighting. My camera does this sometimes, but it gets fixed once I got a chance to restart my system. I also had some issues with accessing my TOS account this morning since everyone got moved to Schwab over the weekend from the buyout. So it was a bit of a hectic morning, but anyway, let's get into the first trade of the week here. We watched GME, the meme stocks were back from the dead. Not really what I like to trade, but it looked interesting over the 1 minute. I had an order out over 26 bucks, but it took out the stop before triggering, so decided to move on and look at some other movers. One of my top watchers for me was this SRG, which gapped down on earnings. Got triggered in under the 1 minute, but it only filled 700 shares of the 3,000, even though I gave it the room. So was pretty undersized. Followed through and took it over the 1 as volume kicked in. Should have made over an R on it, but small fill for me. Then didn't see much after that, so I got a chance to reboot my system to fix that camera issue. Rest of the morning was pretty quiet. Then we saw the QRTEA basing on the 5, possibly topping out, so tried some short. I also got some of this AMPX as a long to fade the gap. Both kind of fell into a coma and wasn't moving. But in the afternoon, in the middle of our lessons, is when the QRTEA finally decided to break and change to the lowest. Hold on 1 second. QRTEA. QRTA, that's nice if you took it. Got some slippage on the way out, but made about an hour and a half on this drop. And then about like 40 minutes later into the lessons, I didn't realize the AMPX was going against me until someone finally let me know that I missed my exit. Oh, AMPX. Yeah, AMPX. Looks like it went the other way. So pretty much gave everything back I made on the SRG plus more. Then didn't do much trading after that. Mostly just lessons and called it a day. Tuesday, the first trade was the NOTV, which gapped down on earnings. Tried it under the 1 minute low high. But on the trigger, it filled me one lousy share. How do you just fill me one share? Of course, it immediately gets to targets. Actually got halted and would have been a home run, but no fill. Then I tried the AUGX, another gap on earnings. Also got a partial fill on this one under the 2 minute, so just ended up scalping it. Then the ERIC, which gapped on news about some expansion for their cloud service. I got in on the 5 minute 1, 2, 3. Pretty much failed immediately, so killed it early under the bid. Then the AKYA, which gapped on earnings as well, shorted it under the 2 minute breakdown. This one I did get filled, the full share size, finally, but noticed that it had 8-cent spread or so, which is a lot for a $3 stock. And of course, the one play I do get filled on right away doesn't follow through, but had no choice but to just let it play out for now. Meanwhile, we tried the ZOM breakout on the 2 minute, a penny stock, which had a really nice pop, but super low priced, so this amazing move was just only about half a penny. Then going back to the AKYA, I just ended up trailing 5 minute bar by bar as it rolled back over. Just didn't like the spread and how it was trading. I did think about just reducing my size, but decided to let the whole thing go. Then in the afternoon, I went back to the NOTV as it based into the 15, partial fills again, barely moved, and just trailed it bar by bar on the 15 into the close and called it a day. Wednesday at the open, there were a few watchers that I did like, but they were too thinly traded at the open, like the Dole. So I went after this PBR, which is an ADR. Don't really like to go after these, but since they did report earnings, maybe it moves. Tried a short under the 1 minute. Contemplated about adding to it as a base for a breakdown, but decided to just stick with the shares I had since it was heading into target 1. Ended up taking half on this pop, hoping that we would get more follow through since there was a catalyst in today's move, but the back half ended up trailing out around break even, so just a small winner there. Next trade was the Bolt, which also gapped on earnings. Majority of the gaps we traded were from earnings this week, since we have a lot of companies reporting right now. Tried some short off the breakdown on the 1, but was difficult to get filled on, of course, so didn't make much off the drop, and also didn't realize the spread opened up big time. So either way, not sure if I would have made much, even if I got filled the proper share size. Then I tried the Space as a breakdown off the 5 just for a scalp, which really didn't go anywhere. And the rest of the day was spent with more lessons, questions, and just following up on some assignments, things like that. So afternoons, we pretty much didn't do much trading. And then Thursday, I liked the goose as a long and was looking to do it over the 1 minute, but realized it wasn't open yet. How can you tell? Is that the volume hasn't come in yet. So it didn't open until about 3 minutes in. You can see how that volume comes in late there. So it kind of messed up the setup for me, so decided to just let it go for now. I then put an order out over 16 for the CYN, which is a penny stock gapping on high volume. News came out that they were scaling up on commercialization of autonomous vehicles, but never triggered and rolled over instead, so moved on. Then I meant to short the space from yesterday as a scalp, but shorted the grab instead. Yes, I still make these dumb mistakes. Didn't get much before I realized it, but of course the grab was popping the other way right as I got it. So killed it for a small loss before getting the right stock. Then I had an order out for this SPIR on the 2-minute sell setup, but didn't fill me at all. I even tried on E-Trade, but 0 shares filled. This uptick rule is absolutely killing me. Then I had an order out for CPNG as a 1-2-3 on the 5-minute, but this one ended up rolling over before triggering. No complaints there. I have no problems with things failing before I get in, but it's the ones that fail after. Those are the ones I don't like. But this TRUP is the one I ended up intentionally passing on today. Gave it out as an idea. Some did take it, I didn't. And this is the one that ended up working pretty well. So it would have been the one that made the money today. So good job to the ones that took it. Then messed with some of the penny stocks that were moving a bit today, like the ZOM, but couldn't really get anything going. Then finally Friday, first trade was the DXC, another earnings gap. This one, I was looking to fade it, so tried it long over the 5-minute. The problem with this one was the stop size. This one opened up late, around 3 minutes into the open, just like the other one. So I just used the big stop and sized it to the low of the day. Looked okay, but wasn't up much. Thought about trailing it to the 5, but decided to trail even tighter to the 2-minute. Ended up getting taken out, pretty much break even for me. Then I passed on the CBRL sell setup because I noticed 25-cent spread. So just gave it out as an idea. This one ended up working really well today. Then back to that DXC. It looks like it would have taken me out anyway on the 5. Was now setting up as a short. So put an order out under this base, but did not trigger. Also thought about getting it as a long again, as it's making a higher low, but decided to wait for a different entry since it was right into the 20. Then tried this BTOG as a breakdown, but didn't get filled. Of course, it ended up being a home run, then moved on to the lessons for the rest of the afternoon. I did have an order out and got triggered in the CBRL of the sell setup on the 15. Wasn't going to pass on this one since I noticed the spread did tighten up. Then the spread decided to open up again to 20-something cents and wasn't really going anywhere. So lowered my stop and got out for a little less than a half an hour loss and called it a week. So as I'm reflecting back on this personal trading week, it's a bit frustrating because I felt like this should have been a decent week in terms of profits. And I didn't really feel the frustration at the time because most of the time was spent teaching and having great conversations with my fellow traders, but not getting filled on a lot of my trades this week. It just sucks to see that I'm doing the right things, but still couldn't get rewarded. And this is why I hate that uptick rule. Of course, there were also a few passes that I feel like it shouldn't have. But in hindsight, it's always easier. But still ending the week with something in my pocket. Other than that, this mentorship week was amazing. We had an awesome group of traders, lots of great questions and materials we went over. So shout out to the mentees. And we're not done yet. We still got a bunch of follow-up coaching sessions, but the mentorship week itself is over. So back to regular schedule here on the channel. More content coming. Hope you enjoyed this one. As always, I appreciate you for being here, and I hope to see you on the next one.
Yeah, let's see how you do under pressure. Yeah, I've been wanting this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Hey. Ain't no errors, baby, it's a new era. I wake up early, feeling rich like I'm Kesha. I get to the paper.